Picture this. You're standing on the vast, sweeping steppes of Central Asia. Stretching from those endless horizons all the way to Anatolia, there's this profound ancient belief system, an entire cosmos really, built by the early Turkic peoples. So welcome to this explainer. Today, we're going to unpack the incredibly rich universe of Turkic mythology. We'll be looking directly at the foundational belief systems of Tengriism, which is the belief in the sky god, and shamanism, also known as Kamlik. And I gotta tell you, this isn't just a collection of old campfire stories. It's a magnificent, deeply structured worldview. So, here is our map for today's journey. 1. The three-tiered universe. 2. Gods of light and dark. 3. Sacred beasts and symbols. 4. Epic tales of survival. And 5. Shamans, rituals, and ancestors. Okay, let's dive right into this with part 1, the three-tiered universe. To really wrap our heads around this cosmos, we have to look at its anchor. It's this massive, sacred axis known as the Tree of Life, or BERT, sometimes called Beyterik. It literally splits the universe into 3 distinct vertical realms. First up, you have the upper world. That's the sky, home to gods, goodness, and just absolute light. Next is the middle world. And you know, this wasn't just some waiting room for the afterlife. To the Turks, the earth was profoundly sacred, shared by humans, animals, and nature spirits. And finally, we descend into the underworld, a really dark place of dead souls ruled by the fearsome Erlik. Now let's look a little closer at that upper world. 17. That is the number of levels making up the upper world. And residing at the very top, at the absolute zenith of this 17-layered heaven, is Kuk Tengri, the sky god. Tengri is the absolute creator, the ultimate power, and the keeper of all order. What's absolutely fascinating here is that Tengri doesn't actually have a physical, material form. Tengri is symbolized simply and profoundly by the endless sky itself. That brings us to part 2. Gods of light and dark. Right under Tengri, we've got 2 major forces operating. On one side is Ilgen Han, the most powerful god after Tengri. He brings goodness, mercy, protection, and roaring thunder. On the flip side is his counterpart, Erlik Khan, who rules the underworld with punishment, disease, and death. But here's a really surprising fact. This isn't some modern superhero movie of pure good versus pure evil. Think of Erlik almost like a divine employee. He absolutely cannot act outside of Tengri's ultimate will and order. Now, what's really interesting here is how every critical aspect of ancient life had divine representation in the upper world. Take Umayana, for instance. She's the deeply revered protector goddess of birth, children, and fertility. She's often imagined in a flowing white dress with bird wings or silver hair. Then you have Mergen Han, this all-seeing, all-knowing archer who governs wisdom and intellect. And right beside him is Kazagan Han. He's a much fiercer deity of war, fueled by the color red, who sparks the ambition and bravery of warriors. It was basically the ultimate celestial support system. But a pantheon needs balance, right? While Gun Ana, the sun mother, and Ea Ata, the moon father, nurture life, protect the night, and manage time, there's some pretty terrifying things lurking in the shadows. Just imagine being a new mother out on the harsh steppes. Your absolute greatest fear was personified in El Karusa, or Al-Basti, a malevolent spirit believed to specifically hunt newborns. And deep below, you have these hellish demons called the Ezekiac, acting as Erlik's enforcers and executing his punishments. Descending back down to the middle world, the divine interacts super intimately with the dirt, the water, and the homes of everyday people. They believed in these protector spirits called Ie. You can kind of think of them as supernatural local bouncers or security guards. Literally every object in place had one. The Sud Esi protected rivers and lakes. The Da Esi guarded those majestic mountain peaks. Even inside your house, the Ev Esi protected the family hearth and local soil. The divine was quite literally sitting in their living room. Moving right along to part 3, sacred beasts and symbols. If there is just one symbol you take away from this entire explainer, it absolutely has to be the Bozkurt, the sacred gray wolf, also known as Kuk Baru. This creature holds paramount importance. The Bozkurt isn't just an animal. It's the ultimate symbol of genesis and rebirth for the Turkic people. It represents freedom, divine protection, and acts as the ultimate spiritual and physical guide during their darkest times. Next up, we have Oksoko, the magnificent double-headed eagle. While the wolf is guiding folks on the ground, this eagle totally dominates the sky. It represents royalty and the raw, untamed power of Tengri. Both visually and mythologically, this majestic creature serves as the eternal, unbreakable bridge, linking that upper world of the gods with the middle world of humans. And this brilliantly illustrates our next creature, the tulpar. It's a winged, lightning-fast, mythological horse. But there's a catch with this one. You can't just go out and tame a tulpar. It only reveals itself to truly heroic, worthy warriors, which perfectly sets the stage for the epic heroics embedded in their myths. But humans weren't entirely powerless amidst all this magic either. Enter the Yatatashi. Long before modern weather apps, shamans actually possessed this magical, highly sacred stone to literally command the atmosphere. They could summon rain, snow, or even devastating storms to aid their own people or thwart their enemies. It was a total game changer. Let's shift gears into part 4, Epic Tales of Survival. It all kicks off with Yaratılış Destanı, the creation myth. Imagine an endless, infinite ocean. In this void, you have the god, Ulgen, and a being simply known as Kishi, or person. Well, when Kishi became arrogant and tried to elevate himself above the divine, he was banished straight to the underworld, actually becoming the Dark Lord Erlik. Meanwhile, Ulgen reached deep into those boundless waters, pulled up a handful of mud, and from it beautifully crafted the earth, humans, and all living things. Let's move to and see how this builds directly into their historical epics, like the Epic of Ergenekon. It's this incredibly dramatic campfire tale of sheer survival. First, a Turkic tribe faces near annihilation from enemies and has to retreat into an impassable hidden mountain valley called Ergenekon. For 400 years, they live there in total isolation, safely multiplying and growing strong. Finally, the epic escape. Having grown too massive for the valley, they famously melt an entire mountain made of solid iron to forge a path out, bursting forth to conquer the world anew. Other epics really reinforce this fierce resilience too. In the Turkish Dastani, a massacred tribe is miraculously reborn when a lone, severely wounded boy is saved, healed, and raised by a female wolf named Ashena. Then, the Özkan Dastani follows a legendary ruler guided to world conquest by a sacred Bozkurt. And always looming in the background of these heroics, the Everin, or bouquet. These are massive, terrifying, dragon-like reptiles tasked with guarding the underworld and the deep waters. Which brings us to our final section, Part 5, Shamans, Rituals, and Ancestors. Central to everyday life was the Anakut Kultu, the ancestor cult. You see, death was definitely not an exit from the family. The souls of departed ancestors constantly watched over their living descendants. They could offer fierce protection if they were honored, or deliver really harsh punishment if disrespected. Because of this, grave sites were treated with the absolute utmost reverence. It was basically the ultimate system of keeping community morality in check, knowing the dead remained highly active participants in the living world. So to navigate this terrifying and beautiful world of gods, nature spirits, and ancestors, the community relied on the kama, the shaman. Just picture it. Donned in a highly specialized, intensely symbolic costume, the shaman beats a hypnotic rhythm on a sacred drum, entering a deep, altered state. They weren't just praying up there. They were cosmic travelers. They literally journeyed to the spirit worlds we just explored to negotiate with gods, find lost souls, and extract supernatural cures for earthly diseases. And this connection was actively maintained by the whole community through events like the Göktanrı Kurbani. During specific times of the year, particularly in the spring, the community would climb to the majestic mountain peaks, because of course that's closest to the upper world. Up there, they would offer sacrifices, both bloodless and blood-based, to honor Göktangri, Ulgen, and the surrounding local nature spirits, really making sure to maintain that vital harmony between the earthly and divine realms. Well, this brings us to our fascinating close. We've journeyed from the 17th level of the sky all the way down to the darkest depths of the underworld. We've explored a universe where every single mountain, river, and hearth was alive with divine presence. And it leaves us with a pretty provocative thought. In our modern, often hyper-industrialized world that feels so disconnected from nature, what can the Enyirsu, the protective spirits of the earth and water, teach us today about respect, balance, and our place in the cosmos? Thank you so much for exploring with us, and I really hope this leaves you eager to uncover even more about this incredible mythological universe.